So the new Pulsars will not use a KTM derived motor. Hey guys, I'm just going to do a ride along motor vlog with some news coming in from the Bajaj KTM partnership and some solely Bajaj's new motorcycles. First, let's talk about KTM. The KTM RC 200 and 390 has been spied on for a long time now, and it's inevitable it's going to come. The general consensus with the new RCs is that a lot of people don't like the way it looks. It looks very bulky from the front, it looks weird, and overall they have tried to go the sport touring way. It doesn't look as aggressive as the first gen RCs, and I really like the way the first gen RCs look. They look very futuristic, very mean at the same time, but I don't think the upcoming generation looks that great. But for the most part, they are playing with colors now. KTM is playing with colors, because you will see even the current gen Duke 390 and the RC 390s, they have a little bit of grey. The next gen RCs are going to have a little bit of blue in it. So KTM is playing with colors, which is a good thing, but I just hope they don't go too far from the orange base that they have. The second news I want to cover is with the new Pulsars. The new Pulsars are due. We've seen spy shots of that too. Mostly it's going to be a 250 and a new 150 maybe. We've seen the 250F, people are calling it the 250F. It has this semi-fairing. It's taking a lot of inspiration from the AS family. A few years ago they had the AS 150 and the AS 200, which is basically stands for Adventure Sport, and they looked very good, but then they were cannibalizing the NS and the RS a little bit, so they discontinued it, and it was not categorized as a hardcore off-roader, so it was a middle ground and not that interesting, but it looked very good. So that design has been carried forward on the new Pulsars, at least the 250F. Now once the 250F comes in, there is some news that the 220F might go out, and I don't know how far this is true, but the 220F might go out, and that is very surprising, because for Bajaj the 250F is still making a lot of money. It still sells at Gundabas. I mean, think about it, you had the NS, you had the RS come out, but still the 220F is selling. That just means that that bike is pretty much still what the consumers want. So what Bajaj is trying to do with the 250F is they have reworked the 220cc engine a little bit, and they have got it up to the 250cc segment. But it's going to be very similar in terms of temperament and power figures to the 220F that we all know and like. So the 220 makes about 20 bhp. I would suggest that this would make about 23 bhp, 24. I don't know if they will increase the power like to about 26 or 25 to make it more than the RS or the NS. I don't know, and I don't think so, and I'll tell you why. So the new Pulsars will not use a KTM derived motor. That's very important for me to say. They are not going to use KTM derived motors. So the RS has a KTM derived motor, the NS has a KTM derived motor, even the Dominar 250 and the 400 have KTM derived motors. But the new Pulsars will not have a KTM derived motor. They are brand new engines developed by Bajaj from the ground up, and but yes, they are inspired and based on the original 220 and the original 200 platforms, because Bajaj wanted to keep the cost down. The thing is, when you take a KTM derived motor, automatically there is a certain amount of price that is built into it, because the KTM motors have certain technology, like they are liquid cooled, and they don't have the low cost component to it. So you will see that in the Bajaj Pulsar lineup, the only bikes that are oil cooled is this one, the RS200 and the NS200, which are both KTM derived motors. But the Pulsar 220F is still oil cooled. The 160 NS is still oil cooled. So you can see where they are heading. So the 250s, the 250F that is slated to come might be a oil cooled motor, oiled and air cooled motor. It will not be a liquid cooled motor, which automatically means that the bike is not going to produce that much power. That's why I think that the new Pulsars will sit below the NS and the RS in terms of performance. Maybe they will have a more torquey motor, but under just pure power they will sit under the NS and the RS. It will be somewhat, the lineup will look a lot like Yamaha's current lineup. So Yamaha has the FZ25, which for all intents and purposes is a 250cc engine, but it produces 20 bhp, which again is more, but still the R15 is the faster motorcycle. But that's because the R15 is using better technology, it is using liquid cool engine, it is using VVA, and it has a 100cc handicap, but still it manages to be faster than the FZ25. But the FZ25 has a 5-speed gearbox. It's a 250cc engine. It's more tractable in the real world, in traffic when you're riding. It's a lot more torquey. So that will probably be the Pulsar lineup in the future, because they will make the 250, the new 250 that comes in, equivalent to the FZ motor. That is what I'm thinking. And the R15 will basically be the equivalent of the RS200 and the NS200. I just love the way the RS200 sounds. Now look at this. It's pulling. This is the pulling sound. And now gear down. And it's a very, very the sound of the RS200 just has character to it, you know. It's not metallic, it's not just like a fut-futty kind of sound, it has character. You listen to the sound, you know it's an RS. That is called personality and character, it just stands for something. But we also know that KTM and Bajaj are working on the 490 engine concept. This is basically going to be a parallel twin motor. And I can't wait for that to come, because that basically means that, you know, there will be one more engine and there will be more variations of Pulsars and Dominars in the future based on that 490 platform. So there's a lot of exciting motorcycles coming in the future. There are a lot of rumors coming out of Bajaj Auto at this point. Lot of rumors, literally. The Bajaj KTM alliance has created such a storm in the market. Actually, KTM has successfully completed 10 years in the Indian automotive scene. So, you know, the partnership has been going well, but you know, only future will tell how the partnership is going to evolve, because now Triumph is involved with Bajaj. So, you know, there is going to be a shift in the way we experience motorcycles in the future. The NS and the RS were prime examples of what happens when you take the KTM engine and apply it with Bajaj philosophy. But I think in the future it's going to be a step away from what we've known and loved with the Pulsars and the Dominars. I think it's going to be more of a Triumph-oriented engine strategy, probably, because they are developing an engine together, they are developing a motorcycle together. So I just got saved by the rain. You can see it rained. I managed to get in on time. Thank God, the RS is not wet. So if you like this video, like, share, comment, all the good stuff, and I will see you in the next one. This has been a ride along video. I think I should make it a concept. See you in the next one. Yes, I'm back after the black screen, but there was a very important point that I forgot to mention in the Moto vlog. The reason I think that the new Pulsars are not going to have KTM derived engines is because if you look at the engine of these spy shots, or the spy shots that you've seen, there are cooling fins on the engine, which basically means it's a air or oil cooled motor. Usually air cooled motors have the cooling fins, and even some of the oil cooled motors like the FZ25, they have cooling fins on them. But more importantly, there is no KTM engine at this point in the lineup that is oil or air cooled. They are all liquid cooled engines. That's why I think Bajaj is trying to reduce the cost and provide punchy low end performance. They are not trying to
give you top end performance, they're trying to give you low end performance, which is why a oil cooler would do for these particular motorcycles. But yes, they're not nearly as advanced as you can't compare it to a KTM Duke 250 because that has a much more advanced engine. Even the Dominar 250 for that matter has a liquid cooled, very advanced motor. So you can't compare the new Pulsar 250 to any other 250. If you have to compare it, you can compare it to the FZ25. That's the only comparison you can make at this point.